There is no doubt that Tomb Raider and its main character, Lara Croft, are legendary figures in gaming. Lara herself, a female video game lead who dominated the industry during a time where having a female lead was very uncommon. Tomb Raider was a huge part of the mid-90s and early 2000s. It even got a series of popular movies featuring Angelina Jolie, which I admittedly have never watched. Honestly, I wasn't really big on Tomb Raider as a whole growing up. I remember my cousin gifting me a copy of Tomb Raider 2 or 3 for the PlayStation 1, but I guess my mom figured a big boob, gun-toting explorer was not the most appropriate game for my young self, so she returned the game and got me Spyro 2 instead, which I'm extremely grateful for because Spyro 2 became one of my favorite games of all time, but not so much Tomb Raider. Fast forward to 2013, Square Enix and Crystal Dynamics released a reboot of the series. Now, of course, I was familiar with Square because of my love of JRPGs, but Crystal Dynamics, I had no idea who these developers were. Looking into their history now, they were responsible for the Gex games, which many people consider some of the best 3D platforming on the PlayStation 1. When I was first introduced to the reboot of Tomb Raider, it instantly caught my attention. Did it take inspiration from Uncharted? Yeah, of course, but I was more so interested in how they were able to reimagine this established character. Now, this game was originally released for the PlayStation 3, Xbox 360, and PC, but for this review, I am looking at the definitive version, which can be found on PS4 and Xbox One. This essentially just brings the console versions closer to the PC port. It runs at a smooth 60 FPS, at least on PS4, improved visuals, and all the DLC. So if you want to play this game today, this is the version that you want to play. So getting into the story of this game immediately throws you into the action with a shipwreck. A very dramatic shipwreck, I should say. Lara and her team get separated, and this is what kicks off our adventure. Right out the gate, this game lets you know that Lara will be going through some extreme pain throughout this entire adventure. More on that a little later. As we attempt to get reunited with our friends, we start to learn more and more about this mysterious island. Now, as you explore, you'll find documents and artifacts that add to the overall lore of the island and the people who once lived on it. We also have cutscenes to show Lara and her team's intentions when it comes to uncovering these secrets. The game deals with supernatural beings and other aspects, so don't go into this game expecting a super realistic story or situations. I won't spoil anything here, but the story of the game, it is passable and plays it safe for the sake of a reboot. Now for the characters. Of course, we have Lara Croft. In this game, she is young and pretty experienced when it comes to her line of work. So we're playing as a younger Lara. The rest of the characters, honestly, they were not that memorable. Besides Sam and Jonah, but even then, we don't get much backstory on the side cast, what made it very hard for me to connect or even care about their well-being throughout the adventure. Sam probably plays the biggest role in the story, so that's why I was able to at least remember her role. The gameplay has often been compared to Uncharted, and there is no doubt that Crystal Dynamics has taken inspiration from those games in order to craft the reboot. You're going to be doing tons of climbing, shooting, collecting, and exploring. The game never stops moving, and it has a bit of a Michael Bay action film feel to it. Bunch of explosions and over-the-top jumps. The combat is pretty fun. I love being able to pull off these multiple headshots in the game, or using my bow and arrow for more of a stealth approach. The controls are very responsive and it's very fun moving around the game world. There are some exploration aspects to the game, but honestly this title is still pretty linear. The game kind of pushes you in the direction that you should be heading, whether that's a scripted event or just an area being blocked off entirely. Again, this game pretty much keeps you moving, so there's really no downtime here. There are some light puzzle elements here and there, and mostly with the optional tombs, but all things considered, this game is an action title. Now, Lara has a leveling and upgrade system that you can play around with when you visit these fireplaces. As you defeat more enemies, you can gather salvage, which will allow Lara to improve her arsenal of guns and other weapons, whether it's more damage output or just a higher ammo count. These fireplaces also act as a checkpoint. Lara will use this time to reflect back on the events that took place prior to you visiting, which I absolutely love. Now, like I said earlier, don't expect super realism from this game. I mean, the things that Lara goes through, no human will be able to survive that. I mean, seriously, wow. How is she not dead from all this falling, stabbing, shooting, and so on? Just don't take this game that serious. Besides that, the game has some supplementary material in the form of comics, character models, and much more. So check this out when you get a chance. I also see this game has multiplayer, but considering this game came out in 2013 with 2 sequels in the market, I don't imagine many people playing this today. Overall, the rebooted Tomb Raider is a great game. Tons of action, great to look at, and a somewhat entertaining story. The game is by no means perfect, but I had a really good time with it and have beaten it quite a few times since it's been out. So yeah, I do recommend this game if you're new to the Tomb Raider series and just want to get your feet wet with Lara and the rest of the gang. I thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time.